Hi, welcome. I think we're going live. Hi, it's Marci. Maybe it's not yet. The circle's still going around. Hi, welcome. It's Marci. It's Sunday, August 23rd, and I want to welcome you to Book Talk Sunday. We are broadcasting live from Long Island, New York, a little town called Kings Park on the north shore of Long Island. It is 3:30 in the afternoon. It looks pretty hot out. I haven't been outside yet. I've been enjoying the air conditioning, hanging out with the cats and my husband, and it's time for Book Talk Sunday. So here we are. So I had been doing the last 3 months or so, 2 or 3 months or so, of Book Talk Sundays as pre-recorded videos and then sharing them out on Facebook and Instagram and my Facebook group, Permission to Heal, Safe to Fly, which is where you are now if you are watching this live. If you're here, please say hi and tell me where you're from and let me know you're around. So this is the first time that I'm doing this live as a Book Talk Sunday live sharing discussion. I had been doing them before as pre-recorded things. I did have an idea last week about doing it live through Zoom and having other people pop in. Hey, Carrie's here. Hi, Carrie from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good to see you. So I was going to do it through a Zoom thing, but I don't think I gave people enough time to choose a book. Hey, April. Oh yeah, the microphone, the whole kit and caboodle. I had to set up a home studio for recording my audiobook. And my engineer told me exactly what to buy and how to set it all up and the headphones and the whole thing. So I figured I have it sitting here. Oh wait, the fan is on, which is why you have this weird background noise. So I got this fancy Rode NT1 microphone with a spit breath screen, I guess. Ooh, it's very loud. And then I had to attach it with this. It's called a Scarlett interface, this little thing that I plug into my Mac, and then I can plug the microphone into it and the headphones into it. Doesn't work Bluetooth because it has to be hardwired, so I had to order a wire, whatever. And then Frank, my engineer, taught me exactly how to make all the dials go and so on, so I can sound better. And I have the little headphone things, the little earbud things, but the sound is definitely better, and why not do it? So I've been using this setup whenever I'm on a podcast or I do an interview, and it makes the sound a little better, a little less tinny. Anyway, so we're doing the Book Talk live, the Book Talk Sunday live this time. So today we're going to talk about a YA novel that I actually love, that I do with my students that I've been teaching for the last 3 or 4 years. I didn't do it this year because we were in quarantine and I only had hard copy texts. And they did a lovely movie on it that actually is very close to. Oh yeah, Carrie, I'll tell you all about. I'll give you a list of all the things that I had to buy, and it was all through Amazon, and they just sent it to me. It was easy to set up. I can walk you through it. Frank's a wonderful teacher, and I was able to figure it out. And I'm tech savvy, but I'm not that tech savvy, so it's actually okay. So Before I Fall is by Lauren Oliver. I'm not exactly sure when it was published. I know I've been teaching with it for 3 or 4 years. Published when? 2010, so it's about 10 years old, but I didn't discover it until the movie came out, which I guess was like 4 years ago or so. The only actor or actress that I even knew that was in the movie was Jennifer Beals. She played the title character, the main character's mom. So anyway, so it's a coming of age story in a very sort of roundabout way, in a way that gets us to really start thinking about what our life's purpose is and how our relationships and how our behaviors affect other people, and that it really helps us focus in on who we are and who we want to be and the kind of person we want to be in the relationships that we're in and how we let other people know that we love them. And so Samantha Kingston, who is the main character, is a senior in high school. They're in a Seattle-ish, Northwest United States high school. And the day that she wakes up, the moment that the story begins, it's the morning of February 12th, which is a Friday. And in her high school, they're using it, they're celebrating Valentine's Day. It's called Cupid Day. And so it's sort of a popularity contest as to who gets the most roses given to them by secret admirers or by friends or significant others or whatever during the high school day. And Samantha Kingston has three best friends, Lindsay, Allie, and Elodie, and they're all like the beautiful girls, the ones that are the most popular in the high school, and they really are not that nice. They act really bitchy and really they bully this other girl whose name I don't remember now. Suddenly it just flew out of my head. Anyway, so we find out through the course of the story that Samantha used to be friends with, in elementary school, used to be friends with the girl that they all bully now. And you can see that she's just this girl who's being bullied is just like caving in on herself, and that she's suffering and in a lot of pain. And in the beginning of the book, you go through the whole day, you go through the high school with them. There's a party at their friend's house. This guy that Samantha used to be really good friends with in elementary school and middle school, he's got a massive crush on her, but she doesn't know, and she's dating some guy who treats her like crap just because he's popular, like the typical, until this point you're like, yeah, been there, done that. This is just like every other like teen angst dating high school YA novel, until you get to the point where all the girls that very first night, all four girls die in a car crash. And then the reader, you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, the four title characters cannot die in a car crash in the first 100 pages of the novel. But then what happens is sort of like Groundhog Day. And then right after Samantha and all of her friends die in this horrible car crash after the party, the next thing you know, you see her wake up again on February 12th. And she begins the whole day over again. And it sort of feels like deja vu. You can see her going through the day like, wait, didn't that just happen? I knew what was going to happen. She was going to say that exact thing. And so they go through the whole day, and she's kind of reeling because she doesn't know what's going on. And then the whole thing happens exactly the same way again, and they all die in the car crash. And then the third day, she wakes up, and it's February 12th again. And it happens over and over and over and over again. And each time it happens, she remembers more and more and more about the previous iterations of the same day and starts to see and judge her own actions, like how badly she had treated her mom and now feels remorseful and is starting to change and do something about it. How badly she feels about how she treated her younger sister and how she wants to do something about it. And then she starts to see how sort of sick and twisted her relationship is with her boyfriend, and what a piece of crap he is, and he treats her like garbage, and how the relationship she has with her three best friends isn't as healthy and supportive and kind and loving as a best friend's relationship should be. And she starts to feel guilt and remorse over how they've treated the girl that they're bullying, that she used to be friends with. And so she goes through this over and over and over again, and each time she goes through it, she starts to fix and correct the things that she now views as mistakes that she had let go, that she had been just naively or afraid to say anything against, because she was insecure about her own place in the hierarchy of popularity in her high school. And I think I know a lot of kids feel that way. I don't think I necessarily did, because I wasn't one of the popular kids. I was kind of one of the band geeks and the drama nerds, and it's just sort of where I fit in the hierarchy of things. So, but I read this with my high school kids because it applies to their lives. They are this age, and they can strongly relate to these stories. So if you can relate to any of this, can you, there's only 2 of you here, but could you type relate and let me know if you have had feelings like this, or you know people, or you have kids who have had feelings like this. Anyway, so it's sort of like the YA version, the YA romance version of Groundhog Day. But it fits in with an assignment that I give to my 11th and 12th graders every year, called 5 Days. So the 5 Days assignment is, it's basically like a Groundhog Day before I fall. There's also another movie called About Time, which I think I've talked about in this group like way earlier on in the summer. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's about a guy who can time travel back in his own life and redo, re-experience, relive things that he wants to relive. He can fix certain things, etc. And so this assignment called 5 Days basically says that if we can completely ignore temporal physics and the butterfly effect, and how changing things in the past would affect the chronology of how things unfold in the future. If we can ignore all of that stuff, what 5 days within your own life would you like to go back to, and why? And so I've been doing this with students for 4 or 5 years, and I've collected a folder of their writing and the essays, and I have a whole folder on my computer. And basically, as I read through them, I've been able to categorize categorize the days that they wanted to go back to. So there's only 4 categories that most people fit into. Some want to go back and have more time with deceased loved ones. Some want to potentially go back to save somebody's life. So it's a life-saving journey. The third one is that some people want to make a better life choice for themselves. And number 4 was to go back and relive a memorable day. Some positive days, some negative days, surprisingly enough. And so somewhere in this analysis of all of their responses, I think there's a book here, but I'm not really sure how to go about it. I started it as like just a nonfiction analysis, psychological analysis of the assignment itself and what people chose. So Carrie said she'd choose better life choices for me. And Carrie, I've thought about that too. Like that first time that my ex-husband, my bangs are annoying the crap out of me. The first time that my ex-husband bullied me. The first time that it got a little physical or it got emotionally abusive. I regret not having left at that moment. So if I could go back to that day, knowing what I know now, would I end it with him? And there's part of me, like if it was just me and I'd never had kids, I would say absolutely. I would go back to that very day, and based on my journals, I could pinpoint it almost exactly, and I would kick him out. I mean, I was still living at my dad's house. It would have been very easy to say, Dad, help me get this asshole out of the house, and that would have been that. But having had kids now, if I broke up with him then, my children wouldn't exist. And so much of me is them. So much of my life has been raising them and having them raise me. And that's quite profound. So I don't think I would go back that far. I think maybe I would, at this point, if I was to go back and correct that at all, I would go back to the day that he had some sort of crazy psychotic break and threatened my life. And those of you who've read my book know the moment that I mean. Had I not just kept my cell phone next to me with 911 dialed just in case, had I actually called the cops that day, he would have spent a night in jail and he would have lost contact with the kids. My attorney, our mediator attorney, told me that that's what would have happened. And had I called the cops that day, my life and my kids' life would have been drastically different. And I can't say about exactly how much without revealing stories that aren't mine to tell, but that would have that would have uh, revolutionized things. So what is Carrie saying here? There is often something good that comes out of a relationship. Not always, but in your case, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, she just finished my book yesterday or today, and so she remembers that moment. And yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, I wish that I could go back and fix that day. You know, I not only did I ask high school kids these questions, but I thought that if I was going to write a book about this, that it would be much more relatable and much more valid as a sociological study if I got people of lots of different age groups. And so I started asking people of my own age. I started asking 20 and 30-year-olds. I was asking people in my parents' generation. I asked my dad and my stepmom's family and some of my dad's friends. And I don't have enough of the other generations to balance out how this all works. I have far and away more teenagers because I have ready access to them every year. But like, there were things that my dad wanted to do. He wanted to go back and relive a day with his own father, and not to do anything nice, but to beat the crap out of him because of stuff that he did to his sister. That I didn't know about until I asked my dad this question. And there were a lot of people who wanted to go back and right wrongs, whether they were wrongs that they did and they wanted to change the way they behaved to other people, or they wanted to go back to make somebody else not do what they did to somebody else, you know, to intercede between abuse or to defend somebody against somebody else's actions. So that was a big thing. A lot of people who I surveyed wanted to go back and spend more time with deceased relatives. You know, they missed their mom, their dad, their grandparents, their best friend, their husband, their wife, whatever, and they wanted to go back and spend more time with that person. And Samantha Kingston does a little bit of that in the book. She spends more time with her mom throughout the course of the story, rather than being an ungrateful daughter, which is how she starts out. I can't balance it. Which is how she starts out in the beginning of the book. She's just like unnecessarily snappish and rude to her parents, and really dismissive of her younger sister, who you can tell idolizes her and just wants love. And so she spends one of the iterations of her Friday, instead of going to school, she spends it just hanging out with her sister and taking her sister places. And it's really very sweet. And unfortunately, as she keeps repeating different iterations of the same day, the sister, in each version, the sister doesn't have memories of that special day, and the mom doesn't have memories of the special day they spent together. But what Samantha Kingston learns along the way is that every single thing that we do, no matter how small it is to us, no matter how minor and forgettable it may seem to us, it means so much more unpredictably to the people who we are involved with. You know, just one simple sentence said snappishly to the little sister could repeat on that little girl's mind for many, many years to come, could shape the way her mother remembers her relationship with her teenage daughter for many, many years to come, as well as the relationships and the snappish, awful things that she and her friends say to that young girl that they bullied. And the way she behaves with the young man whose party she goes to, who we see as the audience that he is in love with her. Hey, Karen, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, it's a really insightful book. I think that it makes all of us who read it, and the movie is great. So if you don't really want to read the YA book, but you want to experience the story, the movie version is just as good. They did a really good job with it, and I don't say that lightly because, you know, as an English nerd and an English teacher, I'm not often happy with movie adaptations of novels. Like, I was all of the iterations of the movie 1984 or the novel 1984 that have been put out into movies, none of them I have really been thrilled with. I mean, it's a difficult novel to make into a movie. And I've seen a few that kind of come close to being accurate. But my husband and I saw it on Broadway I gotta say 3 years ago, maybe. And Olivia Wilde was in it. I adore her, and it was phenomenal. Um, not only do I teach the novel, so I was really very interested in when I found out it was coming to Broadway, but when it was reviewed in the New York Times, they said it was so shocking to the senses that they were now the producers were now warning audiences because people were fainting in the theater because it was so shocking. And I thought, well, now I have to see it. You know, what's so shocking? And they did a lot with strobe lights and dark and light to sort of shock the audience into feeling how the characters felt when they were being tortured and the way they felt in this oppressive totalitarian society. Anyway, so that was excellent. So anyway, so that's kind of it. And any of you have any experience with novels that have been really great movies that you could recommend? It's kind of hard. I when people ask questions like that of me, even if I had like 12 good answers, suddenly I'm put on the spot and I can't remember anything. I'm like that with music. Someone says, "Oh yeah, remember that song?" and they start singing lyrics, and I can never ever think of the song's title. It just disappears out of my head. I don't know. That's just a thing. I don't know. Anyway, so Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. Great book. Really introspective and really hits home with a lot of things. Like you really don't know the impact that you have on someone else's life. A few years ago, I had a senior in my high school come over to me, and 5 years before actually, she had been in my 7th grade class for a couple of years in the early part of my career. I taught middle school, 7th grade actually, and she was in my class. And then we lost touch, 7th grade, and then I left and had a kid and came back. And then I was teaching in the high school, and she was a senior, and she tracked me down in the hallway, and she said that because of one assignment, which I don't even know what assignment it was, but because of my class and the connection that she felt with me in my class and this one assignment, whatever it was, she decided that she wanted to be an English teacher. And I don't think I ever spoke to her again after that. We lost touch, but I was so touched by that, So you really never know how what you do affects other people. So what does that tell us? That tells us that every single day we have to intentionally live the best life that we can. We have to intentionally move forward with kindness through every single encounter that we have. And when we start to feel short-tempered or judgmental, we have to really check ourselves and close our eyes and count to 10 and make sure that we're responding we're responding with kindness, and we're responding thoughtfully. We're not just reacting off, shooting from the hip about something. We're all different, and yet we're all the same. Regardless of where we live, the color of our skin, who we love, how we pray, how we vote, how we feel about things, regardless of that, we all fundamentally want the same exact things in life. We all want love, we all want belonging, we all want home, we all want a sense of community, we all want ourselves and our families and our friends to feel safe and to have enough to eat and not get sick and to have health care and to have education. And every single one of us is the same in our basic fundamental human needs and beliefs, and exactly Maslow, higher order of needs, the exact thing. That's exactly it. We all of us, regardless of any of that other external stuff, want the same things inside. And so remembering that every day as we go forth and live our lives and interact with others, strangers and people we know and care about, people we work with, people we see in the grocery store, etc. I think that going forth with kindness and love will never steer you wrong. And ultimately, I think that that's what this book is about. Ultimately, I think that that movie I love about time is ultimately about that as well. And my brain is just crazy. This postmenopausal brain just forgets all of the stuff. It's like right here, and then it's gone. Groundhog Day, my husband's favorite movie ever. He calls me his February 3rd because his dreams came true and finally the calendar changed and it wasn't February 2nd anymore. He's just a diehard romantic. Anyway, so it's been a half hour. I don't want to keep any more of your time. Before I fall, it's a good movie. It's a good book. Think about kindness. Think about love. Go forth into your life and be the best person that you can be in any given moment. That's all I can say. I love you all. Thank you for joining in. The few of you that were here, I appreciate that. Share the video with anyone you think will be interested. It will be on my YouTube channel, What's Up Marci, within about an hour or so once I, edit it and all that sort of stuff and download it and all that happy stuff. So keep on keeping on. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everyone.